Hey everybody, how's it going? We are back with another themed Hot 5 CBSI here. Mike Morello, joined by the nicest guy in comics, Peter Renna of Dollar Bin Digging, etc., ad infinitum. I do cover tunes, cover fire. We both do back nine, all that stuff. But this is the time where we get to just sit down, chill, and talk about a very specific list of books. And that list is authored by Ben C. over on CBSI. That's comicbookinvest.com. So if you're looking for more information about any of the books that we talk about tonight, head over to the site and check out the article, and you'll be able to see pictures. And although we're going to show you pictures tonight, as well as see some full descriptions and some pricing and stuff like that we might not talk about tonight. In addition to the list, if you've seen the list, we're going to add a few of our own little extras in, like we usually do as well. And with Peter at the helm on the graphics, we've got some cool stuff to talk about tonight. So without further ado, I guess we're talking about Knull Covers this time. Very specifically, Knull Covers. If we got into just Venom and that whole series, we'd be going crazy right now. It'd be a completely different list, and one or two of these might make it. But a lot of other ones would make it instead of some of these. For instance, the Molina 1 in 25 on number 3 is a huge book. There are some really crazy variants for number 1, et cetera, et cetera. And as you go down through the numbers, there's all kinds of crazy stuff, especially when Knull starts to pop in. And we're going to get to some of those books tonight. So we start off, though, oddly enough, with a book that's not a Venom book. And actually, before we get into the list, I should ask Peter if you've got any beginning remarks tonight.
You pretty much covered it. I mean, Knull is, he's the big thing right now. Everybody loves Knull. Yep. Even before we started, there was a comment over on the site about, here, I'm going to bring this up, that he makes a good point. There actually aren't a lot of Knull covers as you compare it to something like Batman Who Laughs. Like, Knull is in a lot more interior story stuff than he has covers, whereas opposed to Batman Who Laughs seems to have tons and tons of covers, but not a lot of substance story to go with them.
Agreed. And I read Venom as well, and I have to say I really like the sort of organic quality to this character. I'm not sure I adore the design, but I love Stegman's art. He does a great job all the way through the books, everything from borders to details to he's really great. He's obviously taken a lot of pride in this book, working with Cates, which is really awesome. And that shows on some of the later printings as well, because you get to see some of those splash pages used as covers. So that's really cool as well. The story's been great. I mean, Cates is what he is. He's had some colorful comments over the last few months about various things, especially Black Winter. But having met him a couple of years ago, he was nothing but generous and gregarious, and I had a great time sitting down with him. We chatted for a good 2 hours. And he was fantastic to talk to, very forthcoming with information. And he loves his art. He loves doing this. He loves writing, and he's clearly very good at it. And he also clearly has a passion for comics and these characters. He does deep dives, man. Yeah. And when he creates characters, he's usually trying to cull from older stuff, as we've seen with Thor: God of Thunder, that he pulled all the gore and the Necro sword and all that kind of stuff for Venom. And he continues to do now with Thor, which is also fantastic. If you're not reading that, that's great too. So Cates knows his business. He knows his customer, and he definitely delivers. And Knull is a good delivery on that sort of promise of being a great writer and really trying to create what I feel might be looked back on as a classic story arc. It's hard to say that now since it's still happening. But, you look at a few things like this or Immortal Hulk or some of the ones that people have really latched onto, it's going to be hard to ignore those 20 years from now. There hasn't been a whole lot of story arcs quite as good as this, in my opinion. And I know there are Marvel naysayers, and I know Batman's great right now for DC and all that kind of stuff. But this is really one of the top titles for Marvel, and it continues to be great month in, month out. And obviously, we just got the 25 that dropped, and there's a lot of news about that as well. We're going to get into that a little bit in a couple of seconds. But so no, super hot, super popular. Prices are going crazy on pretty much anything that involves him. Even just regular number 3s for Venom, his first appearance, are crazy priced right now. Raws, I don't think you can get a raw, the regular A cover, for less than $100. May even be more than that now. but he's not on the cover of that book. So he gets on the cover of these that we're going to talk about tonight, and we're going to hop into the list at number 5. We'll go backwards like we usually do. And number 5 is Silver Surfer Black, number 1, the second print. And this book was hot right out of the gate. This was one people sort of saw coming. The artwork is fantastic, as you might imagine. It is, it was one that people had on their radar early. And as a result, it's a $50 book, which in comparison to the other books on the list is kind of baby money.
Yeah.
For lack of a better way of putting it. But it is a great cover. And I foresee this sort of hitting more and more and more as it gets older and harder to get. Second prints are a big deal right now. And actually, if you're interested in second print talk, head over to comicbookinvest.com and look at our back 9 for the week, where we talk about our favorite second prints or later prints of books. And some of this stuff is in that article, along with a lot of other things as well. But so this one, I don't know what the print run was like on this, but I know that it's that it's $50-ish right now. Some of the other books in the run, the second print of issue 2 commands $25 to $30. Second print to number 4 is like a $20 book right now. These are all starting to kind of like tick up because they have not only a linkage to Venom, but also now as well a linkage to Thor. So bringing this whole sort of Kate's universe, for lack of a better way of putting it, all into kind of one basket. And I think people are just latching on to all of it. They just want to get their hands on all of it. But when Knull hits the cover on the second print of this one, sort of all hell broke loose and people went right out of the gate. I mean, I remember right away, there were pre-sales for this at like $25, $30, and it never went down. It just kept on going up a little bit.
This kind of buildup reminded me of way back when I would say teenage times for me. Infinity Gauntlet, like that Silver Surfer buildup, Thanos Quest, and all those little things happening on the side, and eventually it all came together.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Is that what he's building to? I don't know.
It could be
out in December.
It's the kind of style he has. I mean, he does do stuff like that, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does bring it all together in some big thing. He kind of did it to a small degree in Absolute Carnage. He brought his sort of whole Venom verse thing together. So now will he bring the Thor verse together and then bring it all together into one big culminating thing? It doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility for what Cates is doing and has done in the past. I wouldn't be surprised. And I'd be pretty excited for it. I don't like crossover stuff very much, but I'd be excited for that if he was writing it.
Yeah, I used to. They just overdone it.
They really have. It's across too many titles, man. It's like across titles that aren't relevant to whatever the big thing is that's going on. And I'm like, I don't want to buy that book. Don't make me buy that book. Don't make me buy Fantastic Four. Come on.
What's worse, it wasn't even a crossover to regular Fantastic Four. You had to buy a special miniseries one-shot or something like that of Fantastic Four and this event, which that I don't like as much as, if it's actually in the other titles, all right, reminds me again of the old days. But
and Marvel Empire, I'm talking to you right now.
Yeah, too many books.
With already 4 new titles this week, titles last week, all kinds of variants. It's crazy time. I do want to say hey to a couple of people that are in the chat. Walter Rue, welcome. Thanks for the comments. Half-Priced Crook, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you being here as well. And there's a couple of silent lurkers. That's fine. Sit back, enjoy the ride with us tonight. We appreciate you being here. Thanks very much.
Doc J, Solo Wookiees in there too.
Yep.
Let's go on to number 4.
Number 4. This is one that's hot right now. This is one that sort of just hit. This is a 2-week-old book, Venom 25 second print. It's the wraparound cover that has an unknown character, although there is some talk about what that unknown character may be based on solicitations for Venom number 29. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. If you want to go read the solicitation, go right ahead and go do that. If not, I will not spoil it, but it could be that character on this cover. It may not be. Either way, another great cover. Really cool that it's wraparound. It wasn't ordered heavily around me. I don't know what kind of sort of you saw, what volume you saw of this book, but
I didn't see any actually.
But it was $25
or what?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I got lucky. I got to a store early and got myself a couple of copies of it because one was not in such great shape. So I would, essentially was going to read that one and then just keep the nice one for myself. But this was $25 right out of the gate. And while it's worth worth less than the previous book. It is so hot and selling so many copies, so many more copies than the Silver Surfer Black #1 second print that was #5. We put this above it on the list because of sheer volume, and it's crushing right now. I think as of last look, it has sold 24 copies today on eBay, which is pretty crazy, and sold out everywhere across the board online, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
So pretty great cover. Not a whole lot more to say about it without spoiling anything, but I expect to see this book really pop, especially if the character on the cover is the one we all think it is. And if that's true, when 29 comes around, this book is going to get another boost. And I foresee this being a $100 book pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, people like this Virus. Isn't this Virus over on the left or not?
Yep, I think so.
Looks like Wraith down below here. I know there's been a lot of talk about Wraith.
Yep.
Action. Maker.
Obviously, a lot of the sort of incarnations of Knull and his avatars, I guess, for lack of a better word, like the Grendel and that kind of stuff is on this cover as well.
This is in the center. If anybody in the chat knows who this, almost like a celestial type, like with the outfit.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly either. There's been so many new characters, and I've been reading it too, but it's hard to follow between this and some of the crossover stuff.
Yeah.
I know there is a new symbiote in what do you call it? Avengers, Savage Avengers as well. There's kind of a bunch in various places. There was a couple of one-shots like Scream and some of those. There may have been some new characters in there too that I'm not aware of. I can't read everything. I wish I could, but I have enough trouble keeping up with my 10 or 12 titles as it is.
Absolutely.
But yeah, anyway, so moving on to #3, another fantastic cover that has really popped heavy over the last week or two. It may be because people are kind of priced out of the #3, but either way, #4, which is the origin of Knull, technically, this third print is doing similar things to what our #1 is doing.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to get. I did not see this book. This is the only one that I didn't own a copy of or don't own a copy of. But it's sort of that sort of rising tide idea. That's Ben's quote from the website. But as a rising tide raises all ships, right? So if the #3 third print is raising the tide, it is raising everything along with it, including this book.
Got this one.
Yeah, it definitely does it gets the animated flame. It is super hot very recently, and continuing to go up and up and up. I don't know what kind of ceiling we'll see for this, but it's already in the multiple hundreds at this point for raws. I don't know what 9/8s are selling for. I assume they're pretty high at the moment.
3 or 4, I want to say.
Yeah.
I saw something.
Yeah, that makes sense. Earlier. I've seen raws around 2, so it makes sense to see 9/8s at 3 or 4 already.
I'm just glad I still have one left.
Yeah,
I bought these. Again, I grabbed second, third. I've been grabbing second, third prints out of dollar bins whenever I see them. And I had a couple of these. I had a couple of 9s. I got rid of my second print 9s. I got rid of all my third print 4s, apart from the one that I found in a box behind me. So I still have one left.
Nice. That's awesome. Hey, Emerald Knight 41. Thanks for joining us. Michael Palmer, you too. Yeah, I agree. I'm skipping Empire. I just can't do it. I can't do it. Can't do it. Not this time. But I will do it if Cates does something like that. If it's all Cates, I'll do it.
And he is.
And he's doing it, and I'm in on all of it at the moment. But as far as this #3 goes, I do expect this to continue to climb alongside #3, just because it's the origin. Keep in mind also, most of these covers have really dark. Most of them are almost all black.
All black.
So getting high grade copies on these is really, really, really tough. I just sold a third print #3 that it was not near mint the other day, and I still got good money for it, but man, I would have gotten a lot more if it had been near mint, if it was a 9/8 candidate. So these are really tough with all this black to get 9/8 candidates. Every little tiny scuff and nick and ding will show up really heavily.
Can't hide it. You can't press it. You break color, you're done.
Yep, it's there forever, and that's just the way it is. And a lot of these, when they fold them right along the spine, you get that flaking too, and sometimes that sort of creeps on over onto the front cover as well. So just it's unavoidable, and most shops are only going to get a few of these. My one shop that does get some of these second and third prints, they only get about 3 to 5 copies every time. So you have slim pickings. You get what you can get. But next book, #2, Silver Surfer Black, #4, 1 in 25. This is the Peach Momoko. This, again, was a book that was on everyone's radar because of Peach Momoko hype. She is a hot artist. She's the hot artist right now. There's sort of no doubt about that. My personal opinion aside, she sells everything. It doesn't seem to matter what she does, what she draws, where she puts it, if it's a sketch, if it's full color, if it's silly, if it's serious, it doesn't really seem to matter. It sells like crazy, and it sells out in seconds. And this was the same way. This was, again, on everyone's radar, but yet still it sold out right away, and it went up to crazy prices right away. Still commands $150 to $200, depending on what day you're looking. A cool cover, definitely a different take on the idea, but yet again, another Silver Surfer Black cover, variant cover. And really the Peach hype train is continuing to rumble down the tracks, and I don't expect it to stop soon. Hopefully there won't be any market fatigue. She's got a lot of covers right now. She seems to be putting out a new one every week, it seems. But some of them are fantastic. I mean, I loved the first Ronin one that she did. I do like this cover, and there are a couple of other really good ones. On the flip side, there are a couple that
what's the FCC one that sold? Oh, the Usagi Yojimbo one. I like that one.
Yep. Yeah, I did too. That was really good. That's the right kind of book for her style too, I feel like.
But then that Thor 6 sketch cover, whatever it is,
man. It's brutal. I can't imagine that's her fault either. Like that sounds to me like, hey, you've got a week to do this cover. What can you get us? That's what she submits, and they're like, oh, we'll print it anyway. You're so super hot. I mean, it's going to sell, and it did. It sold out in minutes. So I can't argue with that. She doesn't happen to do it for me, but I know that she does it for 99.99999% of the rest of the market. So to disregard my opinion, I'm more of a classic covers guy. But still, I can see she's different. She's hot, and it definitely affected this book. And there you have it. She's got her number 2 on the list this week. But there is no denying number 1 on the list. And it is number 1 now. It's been number 1. It will probably continue to be number 1. There's a lot of debate about Knull's first cover, but this is the book where he appears first. This is his first cover. Here it is. Simple as that. It's a beautiful king. It is the king. It is a beautiful cover. It is a splash page from the interior. It's a Stegman. It's gorgeous. It was not common. I found one a little later than release week. Luckily, it just happened to sort of be in a bin, and I grabbed a copy of it. It's the one that I literally just sold because I did get a second copy that was better. It is what it is. This book is on the low side of $400 raw, which is insane, and it's going up to crazy multiple hundreds. I don't know if have we had $1,000 sale yet on a 9.8?
I don't think so yet.
I feel like we got to be close. I mean, there's a lot of askings in the 700 and 800s, but I got to assume that this is going to hit 1,000 at some point. This is the book. I mean, it's the image from the book. It's his first appearance book. It is a rare printing. It's the one that the market has decided is the book. So, and I can see why it's got all the right things going for it, and it is definitely king. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. This feels like Captain Marvel 17.
Exactly.
The Kamala Khan thing that seems like it could reach that potential at some point. It obviously depends on what Cates does with Knull, or if they use Knull elsewhere outside of the Venom book. And if they make him an even bigger villain, or if he continues on throughout multiple story arcs, he could be enormous. Doc J says, I prefer this as it is his first appearance. Yes, and exactly. And I'm there with you 100%. I agree. That's why this is the book. I think most of the market agrees with you, and that's why it's commanding the prices over the others. There are, like I said, a couple of other sort of options, and there was some debate for a while, but it seems pretty clear that this is the one that the market has decided on. And I also agree. This is my favorite Knull cover as well. Walter Roos says, I think it's the best splash page, and therefore it was the best choice to use for the cover. And by default, then also ends up being his best cover. Then Stegman, who essentially created the character along with Cates. So I think it's the one.
Yeah, and I hope those two keep going. I hope it's like a Capullo Snyder run with these two just sticking together for a while, because it's good stuff.
Yeah, they're great together. I mean, a lot of people have asked us. I asked a lot of people as well. What do you do with your copy right now? Is the market's a tricky thing right now. I mean, prices are high on a lot of this stuff, but keep in mind this book is rare. If you sell your copy right now, you may never see another one, and you certainly are not going to see it at a price you want to buy it at for a very long time.
Yeah.
So I chose to sell mine. I may be kicking myself down the road for that, but it's one of those things where, I'm not. I'm not worried about it.
If you kick yourself for selling your Raw for 400, I should be kicking myself for selling a 9.8 just a month or two ago for like 300. Because at the time I was, it's a third print. How much higher can this thing go? I had 3 at the time. I had 2 9.8s and a 9.4. I don't know why the one got a 9.4. All copies were identical. I should have just resubmitted it, but I decided, all right, I'll just take, I don't know, like 120, whatever it was. I just took from the 9.4 and I got rid of the extra 9.8. I have one left. It's mine. It's sitting here. But yeah, so I sold too early. Am I kicking myself? Maybe, yeah. But at the same time, I didn't pay a lot for these. I got them right around when they came out. I just found them. I liked them. I just held on to them. So if you make a profit, don't kick yourself. Don't worry about it. But if you're debating what to do, it's really up to you. Because like Mike said, if you sell now, there's a good chance you won't get it back for a price lower than what you're going to get. So if you want to trade it in now and take what you get, just know if you want it back, you'll probably have to spend the same. This is not going to go back down to being like a $50 book. I just don't think that's going to happen.
No, so, I don't either. I mean, if it settles, I think it's one of those books that even if it settles, you're still looking at a $200 Raw, $500 9.8, even at its lowest. It's just too rare, and the character's too popular. Unless they just totally tank the character, that would be the only thing, right? But I mean, can you imagine if we see this character in a movie? What this book will do? Holy crap! It'll go nuclear, and it already kind of is going nuclear without that. So I can only imagine what it would do with it. I think it would get into like Ahsoka Tano kind of territory. We're talking multiple thousands at that point if it becomes an important film character. But that's down the road. Who knows? We shall see. Ken says maybe if the character tanks. You know what I mean? Like they've taken good characters and ruined them in the past. I can't imagine Kate's ever doing that. I can't imagine it ever happening to a character as cool as this organically, but you never know.
You don't know when another writer takes him, like another writer gets his hands on him.
Exactly. Or tanking the character in a movie. I mean, look at what's been done to poor Dr. Doom and Galactus in some of the movies that we've seen, so those things definitely affected, at least gave a little bit of a dip in values for a while on those two. Now, of course, they're on the rise again because Disney owns them, but you just never know. The market reacts in strange ways to strange things. And who knows what happens. Emerald Knight 41 says Thor God of Thunder 6 is hot too. First Knull cameo. Yes, at least according to Kate's anyway. So yeah. And it definitely is, no doubt about it, hot. It's been hot since he mentioned it in his Twitter feed, I think, is where that first kind of came out. He teased it. And then that book went nuts as well. So that's thanks for pointing that out, Emerald Knight. That's not on the list this week. So, definitely an important.
Not really on the cover. So
yeah, he's not on the cover. That's true.
The criteria of our list.
Yep. And then of course he's saying God of Thunder 2, the Necro Sword issue as well, which we mentioned earlier as well. Doc J says that was not a cameo, some bullshit. Which again. It's Kate's doing the deep dive into the old lore and pulling out what he likes. He loved that series. A lot of people love that series for good reason, and he's running with it and creating his own thing from it. I don't see anything wrong with that. It's sort of up to you, I guess. Your mileage may vary, as my brother says. And so if you feel like that's the cameo, then maybe it's the cameo. If you don't feel like it's the cameo, then skip it. Again, buy what you like, buy what you believe in. if we all did that, we'd all be a lot happier. We'd be a lot less stressed about what we're selling and what we're buying and all that kind of thing. Like people talk to me all the time about Ahsoka and, oh, you talked about Ahsoka 2 years ago and all that kind of thing. Are you happy now? And I'm like, well, yeah, but I was happy then. I loved the character then. I believed in her then. And I was happy to own the books then when they were worthless. I guess I'm a little happier now, but I'm not selling them. So what do I care if the book's a $2,000 book? I'm not going to sell it for $2 or $2,000. So it doesn't make any difference to me. Yeah, it isn't for me. That it's not. And these too. Some of these I'll keep probably forever. I've really enjoyed reading this run from both Silver Surfer Black and Venom and all the ancillary stuff. And I want to remember the experience of reading these books. So I will not sell all of them. I will keep them for myself for nostalgia's sake. So that's the main list for the week. But we've got some other things to share. We got our honorable mention. And the honorable mention is another sort of monster book. It was a 1 in 200 incentive for Silver Surfer Black 5. It's sort of this homage to the Hulk Wolverine cover. And a contributor on the website had a funny comment about this cover, that it's funny that Knull looks a little Jokery, I think. There it is. It says, just me, or is the face of Knull on the Silver Surfer Black 5 variant kind of resemble the Joker? Just change the hair color to green and it'd be close, I think.
I can't unsee it.
Peter's graphic, now we can't unsee it. It certainly does look a little Jokery with the green hair. There's no doubt about it. It's still a cool cover. There's no doubt about the fact that it's a cool cover. It sells well. It seems like it was a book, from what I can gather, it was a book that sort of popped up in random diamond boxes for stores. And so all of a sudden, like a week or two later, stores just got this book in their boxes and we're selling it for 50, 70, 90, 100-ish dollars. And now it's one of those sort of like 200-ish, $250 books. As well it should be. It's a 1 in 200 incentive. I don't know how rare that means it really was, but obviously not a whole lot of stores ordered 200 copies of Silver Surfer Black. Maybe the big boys like Midtown, stuff like that, but for the most part, probably not.
Like you said, these just showed up in boxes because the store that I like to go to, there's no way they ordered 200 copies of this book, but I saw they had one like a week ago. It was sitting up there with their other variants, and they had, I think they had $90 on it. I was like, I don't know if I want to spend $90. I mean, it's less than half ratio. And then I decided, and then when I looked at prices, I was like, oh, well, that might be worth it. It was already gone when I went back, but there's no way they ordered 200 copies of that book. So it had to have been some sort of just in the box. I don't know how they got it.
Yeah. One of my stores, same way. I remember seeing Silver Surfer Black. I bought one off the stack. There was a stack of maybe 25 copies, possibly, maybe 30 at the most. There's no way they qualified for this book. Yet there it was on their wall 2 weeks later, and they said that they had just gotten it in through Diamond. So there was also a Diamond variant sale recently, and maybe this made it to that sale. I guess that's possible that maybe this was there for some discounted price and stores were able to order one or two. That's the only other thing I can think of about why this book popped up in a lot of smaller shops a couple of weeks later. But either way, if you got your hands on one, cool. I did. I managed to get one as well. But yeah, and so there it is again. And Kent says, is Silver Surfer in Joker War now? Funny. That would be an interesting crossover, though, wouldn't it?
Well, maybe no.
Yeah. But we're not done. There's more. Peter?
One more honorable mention?
Yep.
Venom 6.
Venom 6, the Memphis convention, comic convention exclusive. I was at Memphis. I got my hands on this copy. Kate's was there to sign, and it was only there. It was on the tables. It was being given out by just the random people at the admission table, and they were mostly beat. I managed to pull mine out of the stack, so I got a nice copy of it. But of course, sharing with them at the convention all day. And this is a small convention. There's nothing big about Memphis's convention. So this was just sort of a small room, sort of an odd choice to put it out there. And this was a contender for first Knull cover for a while, but it seems as though it came out a couple of weeks later. So just the way that these sort of later printings and weird variants come out, this actually hit just a couple of weeks after that third print variant. But either way, still a pretty good book. It still commands about $100, 125, 150. It's definitely not common. A lot of them are signed. So actually finding an unsigned one may, in fact, be the rarity in this particular case. When I went back out from the con, they were all gone. So I don't know how big the print run was, but it was not large. So there you have it. Another really cool cover as well. I forget who's the artist on this. I'd have to look that one up.
Yeah, I know the signature. It's the scribble, but I can't think of whose it is.
I knew it for a while, and I can't remember it now. But well, while Peter's talking about the next thing, I'll look it up real fast, and we'll find out.
Well, the next thing is, I mean, as much as these Knull books have been popping lately, I mean, there's a huge crossover coming that Cates is again building towards another one, and this is coming out in December, and there's a possible another spike coming for a lot of these books. So if Venom 3 third print hasn't hit $1,000 yet, there's a good chance come September and October, as we're near everything building towards this, that it might hit there. I mean, again, this is all predicated on no movie news, because I know movie news moves a lot of the needles, these days. But just based on books, like Cates is a driving force in this market. I mean, love it or hate it. I mean, personally, I enjoy it. Like, if you think about it, if you got to write a Marvel book, wouldn't you go back and touch on the things that you liked reading when you were younger? Wouldn't you try to tie together the stories that you liked, the stuff you're writing now? I mean, it's just a natural thing you'd want to do. I mean, yeah, I don't know. So getting crap for, it's just for speculators. It's like, I don't think it's just for speculators. I think he just liked Mind Bomb. So he said he liked Mind Bomb. He didn't tell everybody, hey, go out and go buy Mind Bomb, that this should be a $100 book. It's just something he liked. So I don't know. Can't fault the guy for loving the medium comics.
Yeah, and I think it's great that he's created buzz around writing rather than just covers. Now, ancillarily, that's not a word, he has created buzz for covers, because the covers are popping like crazy, as this list shows us. But really, it's all about the writing, and people will go crazy for anything he says is going to be included in his writing, and they go out and they instantly $20, $30, $50 books right away. And you're right, Peter. Could this event make all these books we talked about tonight spike even further? It's very, very possible. Just as a note, the Memphis convention number 6 exclusive is a Kevin Nolan cover. So
I see it now.
Yeah, on the tip of my tongue, and I couldn't remember it. So I don't know. I mean, this could be a drive to drive prices up. Movie news using the character. There's been the interview that he and I had. He was quoted in my interview as saying, what else could you do once you've done these story arcs from the old stuff? Could we maybe get Knull in a movie? And he kind of mentioned it. And that's a couple of websites ran with that and said, well, maybe we're going to see Knull in a movie. And if we do, I think we're going to see another huge spike. But I mean, that's not really a rumor at the moment. It's just something that could happen. It's something that seems popular enough to happen. It would be a very dark movie, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But either way, there's a lot of things that could make the prices go up. But have we already reached the ceiling? I mean, where are people willing to stop paying? I have no idea. I mean, I thought, Captain Marvel 17 second print, Kamala Khan was going to stop, and it never did. So I thought the Greg Land Edge of Spider-Verse number 2 variant was going to stop, and it never did. I thought Ahsoka Clone Wars number 1 of 1,000 was going to stop, and it didn't. So, who knows? Who knows? Some of these books could really continue to really fly high based on potentially this series coming in December and or possible usage in film and whatever. But that wraps up our list for tonight. We really thank everybody for popping in. We've got a lot of people in. If I didn't call you out, it's because I didn't see you in the comments. But I really appreciate you joining us. This This was a really great list this week. Again, if you want to read up more on the list itself, head over to comicbookinvest.com and check out Ben C's actual list. You'll see it down there. And then also check out content from Tales from the Flipside YouTube channel all the way through the week. There's a show every night of some sort. You have their main show on Monday, which is the Tales from the Flipside podcast, and everything from our themed Hot 5 here to the 3 Comic Monty that Peter and I also are part of. You've got the Weekend Update with Nico and all kinds of other content. Global Comic Safari, if you're into foreign.
That's a good one.
Check that out. That's an awesome show. It's not super regular, but go check out back episodes of it. And when they come up with a new one, it is some really cool stuff. Speaking of books that are catching fire right now, foreigns are big. And those guys are in on the ground floor. They created the ground floor, actually, in my opinion. So lots of great content there. And, of course, tons of other great content on CBSI as well. Free content. We don't ask you for anything other than maybe a little love here and there. From the Hot 10 list every week to Peter's dollar bin digging, to my cover tunes, cover fire. Rumor has it from Chris Snelms, which is a huge one too. The Wednesday one is another great article as well. Tons of great content to get you prepared for Wednesday warrioring, for speculating, for collecting, for enjoying all of the things. We are there for you, and we really appreciate your support. Say again.
We got a special guest tomorrow.
Yes, we do indeed have a special guest tomorrow. So check that out. Make sure you do. That's for 3 Comic Money. So make sure you check that out. Really fun show. We're really, really excited to drop that on you tomorrow. And we will see you with another themed Hot 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 next week. It's Mike and Peter signing off for another week. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Take it easy, everybody.